French unions held more strikes against President Emmanuel Macron's reform of the country's pension system a day after he went on television to insist he won't back down. Let's bring in Bloomberg's Connan in Paris. Caroline, Macron at one point comparing this to the Capitol riots. Is that a fair comparison? Have these strikes turned violent?
When you look at what happened on Thursday in Paris especially, in fact, the streets are definitely not calming down against this pension reform. You had more than 1 million people protesting across the country, according to the police, 3.5 million people, according to the main CGT union. So quite a big crowd out there. And it was actually more violent than usual on the sidelines with those so-called black blocs, these far-left groups actually clashing with the police on several occasions, especially in Paris. And you had about 150 police officers injured with some beans set on fire. In fact, the turnout at these protests had gone down recently over the past few weeks, but there are since the government actually survived this vote on no confidence on Monday, the turnout yesterday went back up more than 1 million, as you can see on this graphic. That's because obviously the fact that the government wanted to force this reform without a vote really angered the streets.
So is there any sign that the government might react differently this time?
So, as you mentioned, the President Emmanuel Macron appeared on national television on Wednesday. He tried to appease the tension, comparing these riots to the Capitol Hill riots in Washington a couple of years ago, but saying he would stick to his pension reform, that it was in the best interest of the nation. But he came out as arrogant out of this interview. He failed to convince 70% of the French who actually felt despised, who thought they didn't listen to the streets. So the strikes are likely to continue. Already you see some refineries in Normandy, near Lyon, being disrupted. Also the kerosene deliveries to some Paris airports. And in fact, we could even wonder if the visit of King Charles on Monday will go as normal, because obviously it would be a bit strange to show on national television King Charles having a state dinner in Versailles on one side and the protests and the garbage piling up in Paris on the other side. So we'll see how this goes.